Recess. We're going to move right into our 7 o'clock committee meeting. I call 7 o'clock meeting, committee meeting to order. Will Clerk please call roll.
Burgess. Here. Ford. Myers. Here. Foster. Here. Washington. Here. Williams. Here.
Again, I'm going to ask, we'll go to item number 2. We have a Springfield update from Alona. I'm going to have you come up. I'm also, when we get done with this Springfield update, I'm going to be asking that we table item number 3, item number 4. We're going to have public comment. And item number 6, if trustees want to say anything. Item number 7, we'll adjourn and we'll go right back into our public hearing. What's that? No. Rosie, can you fix that? Sure. Thank you. Make sure you speak closer, they'll be yelling at coming back. So, is it red or green right now?
Great. Thank you, Mayor, and members of the Board of Trustees. I'm Al Ronan. I've been retained as a lobbyist for the City of Sauk Village. We had a very aggressive session that we worked on down in Springfield. I'll be glad to go over the highlights, talk a little bit about the firm, and hopefully talk about what our agenda is for the future. This session, well, first of all, a little background on the firm. We have a 4-person firm that works in Springfield on your behalf. I'm a former member of the House. We have a couple of attorneys who also work with the firm on a full-time basis. I'm a former member of the Senate. We also have my daughter who is a former assistant state's attorney and also part of the former member of the governor's cabinet. And then we have a full-time representative based in Springfield who is the former chief of staff in the Department of Transportation. Our focus really is twofold. Number one, we work on trying to secure additional funding for projects for your town. We were successful. This session, we were not able to pass the kind of capital bill that the governor and our legislative leaders on the Democratic side proposed. There was a strong belief that we needed to have a significant capital plan so that we could continue the capital projects that have been forthcoming off of the last bill that we passed 6 years ago. 6 years ago, we passed a $31 billion capital plan. That was before I was engaged with this community. But off of that capital plan, we were able to secure a significant number of funding projects for the communities that we represent. This year, we were able to get a very small capital plan passed with no new tax increases, but it was dedicated to a refinancing package to fund street repairs on $1 billion worth of state roads, and then we were able to add $100 million for local roads throughout the state of Illinois, which was determined on a per capita basis. That was a continuation of a program we did institute in the plan that we passed 6 years ago. Sauk Village, as well as every other community in Illinois, benefited by an additional allotment every year of the motor fuel tax money. That was $45,000 a year that you've gotten over the last 5 years. Then with the bill we passed this year, there's an additional $45,000 coming in. It's not a lot of money, but at least it's money that we're going to get if we were able to get the capital bill passed. We reported that into the mayor, and Mayor, I don't know, you share the report?
They have I made another copy for them. They have the mid-year and they have the end of the year.
And then we also submitted, in addition to the $1.1 billion highway improvement plan, I also submitted the refi bill that passed. And I think you got copies of the 4 projects that were pending for Sauk Village. Some of those projects, when they do a refi bill, what they do is they take all the projects that were pending for every community in the state of Illinois. It's about a 1,400-page bill. And there were 4 projects that that we submitted, and we are looking for an update on this funding status on those projects, if you will receive them.
We have not received money, we start putting the information, they asked for additional information, so between the finance director and our engineers, there was some information they're asking for, especially for the parks.
Right.
But, $135,000 for repairs to the park district, Arrowhead, Carroll, $50,000 for general infrastructure, $25,000 for infrastructure, and $175,000 for other infrastructure.
Right, which would be added together, and again, part of it is going to the parks, but again, it benefits the community. You're in line for about $400,000 in state funding, and as soon as that paperwork is submitted, we will expedite that through most of it comes out of the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, and we will expedite to make sure that those monies are released for the community. We also worked on, the mayor was diligent, which we like when mayors are diligent. On April 24th, the mayor sent us a letter on 3 pieces of legislation that you were very concerned about. One was the mandatory banning bill, which was passed out of the House. It really causes a problem. Everyone wants safe fire departments and the ability to protect the citizens of their community. A mandatory manning bill is a real problem for non-home rule communities. It's an issue of what's the proper number of firefighters and paramedics a community needs. It was pushed by the fire union. The bill became very controversial. It did pass out of the House, and we were able to have it held in the Senate, where it is still pending. The main thing is that now there can be continued negotiations with municipal officials and the union to try to see if we can work out a compromise. We had the same thing. There was a bill for dealing with the consolidation of fire departments. Again, consolidation seems to make sense. The union came in with some very strong demands to make it virtually impossible to do consolidation. And again, we were able to get that bill held in the House. A big fight to up through this area, not saying anything to do, but really work hard on the compromise with the union. Like they had that bill put in a much better form. The third piece of legislation there that you asked us to work on was the prohibiting ticket quotas. We had no chance to stop it. It was overwhelmingly popular with the members of the General Assembly, and I guarantee you that no matter if I had a machine gun, you could have stopped prohibiting tickets.
Could you use the mic, please? It's getting hard to hear you back here.
Please, put the mic across.
Sure, I'm sorry. So basically, the mayor contacted us in April about 3 specific pieces of legislation that he thought it was important that we work on, and we were successful on 2, and the third, as I said, had overwhelming support. And then the final issue that we're working on was the letter that we received, Mayor, concerning some specific grants that you're going to try to go after this year, which will not require legislative action. But what we will do is you prepare the paperwork, and the professional staff prepare the paperwork. We'll be working with the various agencies that you've highlighted. And all 3 programs you're going after, we've worked on projects like this in the past, and we're more than happy to see what we can do to try to get some of these additional dollars into Sauk Village to improve the community. That's kind of an overview of what we've worked on. Right now, the General Assembly is in recess. They come back in the 3rd week in November, after the November election, and we will hopefully again work diligently on a much more expanded capital bill. Capital bills are important because that's one of the best mechanisms available for communities, school districts, community college districts, and every unit of local government to help fund and expand programs so vitally needed at the local level. So we're cautiously optimistic that we will have a capital bill of a much greater nature in the November/January session. So those are that's our goal for the future, and I know you'll be working on different ideas that you're working on. So,
Any questions?
The $400,000 that you were talking about, when can we, expect that? They,
They had 45,000.
no, 400,000 at the front for the parks and everything. I know we applied for it. When, I mean, is there a deadline, or we haven't heard by a certain period of time, it's all for?
No, here's what I'll tell you, trustee. When the General Assembly does a reappropriation bill or a refi bill, what that means is that those appropriations are still very much alive. That's what needed to be done, so that was done. So that we've now got the entire year to get those funded by the state of Illinois. They're not gonna go away, no matter what happens in the election cycle in November. Those projects are still very much alive. What needs to be done, though, is that paperwork has to be submitted to the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity so that we can then, after they review it and approve it, then we have to get the approval, obviously, then out of the governor's office, which I don't see any problem, and then we work with the comptroller's office to actually get the voucher for the village. So all four of those, that $400,000, very much alive, and I would not anticipate anything except making sure we get the paperwork.
I'm just being realistic. I mean, can I see it this year, or like we're looking at through legislation and things, maybe April or May of next year?
If the paperwork gets in, I think we could theoretically see the release this year. But I don't know where the status of the paperwork is.
Okay, no, I'm just trying to be realistic. I mean, that money is there.
Some of these, I think, have been sitting there for a while, and because when we passed the last capital bill, let me put it in perspective. We passed the last major capital bill 6 years ago. It was a $31 billion bill. We have now allocated all those dollars out, and many, many billions have already been spent. The 4 projects for Sauk have not been released, and now we're aggressively working with your professional staff to get the paperwork done and get them released. So I'd like to see it this year, but again, until the paperwork gets in there, I can't push the departments to get the release.
Makes sense. I just want to kind of get an idea.
I would hope this year, the $45,000 from IDOT, that's a second allocation. As I told you, there were 5 that you've received. This will be a second one this year. That will be this calendar year.
Now, are this is the grant we're talking about, the 400,000. Is that a grant that we're talking about? This is just.
There are 4 separate appropriations.
Okay.
And if you want me to, real quickly, I can tell you what the 4 projects are. $135,000 for renovation repairs to Park District for Arrowhead and Carroll Parks. $50,000 for general infrastructure. Well, the other 3 are all for general infrastructure. And that's what we'd like it to be left broad, so that then you, the folks in this room, can make a determination on what they'll be spent on. $50,000, $25,000, and $175,000. So that's a total of $250,000 for general infrastructure improvements, 3 separate grants.
And when we went in for this money, again, they left it open, which makes it nice, but we already planned $50,000 going into jetting and B-boxes. We have a lot of, again, infrastructure needs to be repaired. $25,000, we're already looking at replacing fire hydrants, because we have a lot of fire hydrants that need to be replaced. And then $175,000 was for some of the roads and stuff that we need to replace.
And all of those, when that paperwork gets in the DCEO, they expedite those, because those are things that are very logical. DCEO takes a much more jaundiced view on some towns. Sometimes we'll try to move off into more esoteric projects. What you're asking for are things that every community is suffering from a need for additional resources.
So the reason why I was asking, I was wondering, are these self-contained grants, which means we don't have to pay anything?
No, these are straight grants. There is no matching.
Good, that's what I'm.
Just as the $45,000 for the
Right.
fuel tax, no matching.
No matching.
These are just dollars. These are dollars that if you didn't get state funding, then you'd be using your local property taxes. And since everybody in town pays their income tax, there should be a return to every community. Problem is that, that's why communities bring people like us on board, so that we have a better chance to get it.
Any other questions? It's too easy. So you're definitely getting another letter from me, probably, well, it's really this budget taken care of, but probably next month. Some of the projects that we're looking forward, going forward. Plus you have also, you still have some of the white papers that I sent you for the looping,
Yeah,
There's like 5 point something million, and one of them 1 point something, and another one.
yeah, I think everything that you send us, Mayor, we keep track of it. And then, obviously, the serious dollars, the $1 million projects that would require a capital bill.
Right.
But again, we're cautiously optimistic that the General Assembly, when they come back in November and / January, will be looking at those. We were successful, like I say, 6 years ago.
I know they were asking for one question about Arrow Park, and our engineers sent it off to our attorneys to get the legal description. So once we have it, well, all I'll do is I'll forward you. In fact, I'll make sure that they start keeping you involved in that correspondence, because I see the correspondence, but I don't think there's any comment.
Yeah, that would be very helpful, because as you're working with DCEO, or whatever agency, IDOT or DCO, the more information we have, the easier it is for us to track. So that it will be helpful to you as well.
Any questions? Good.
Okay, you said $150,000 for parks and recs.
Yes. Well, it was
130,000.
$130,000.
$135,000 for parks and recs.
Right.
It's the parks and stuff. It's already part of the budget. It's already been included. Huh? Are you Arrowhead Park or Carroll Park? No. That money, that $135,000 is for repairs to this park district for both Arrowhead and Carroll parks. So,
Yeah,
that's what $135,000.
that's the actual wording in the bills, and there's really no flexibility. Once it's in the legislation for a refi, it's, when that decision is made.
We put that in quite a long time ago for those, because that grant money or money available is through a portion that they give money to open spaces and to parks.
Was that part of the OSLO grant?
I think it may have been.
What it was?
Because that's why they had to make sure that it was spelled out which parks we were going to work on and repair.
I urge municipalities, when we're going after money strictly for the municipality, to try to keep it as general as possible, because that gives you the greatest flexibility on determining what the most important needs are at the particular time when money gets released. General infrastructure or road repairs are always the best items, because you always have roads needing repair, and general infrastructure can go for anything that is a capital improvement for the community. Water repairs, sewer repairs, curb repairs, those are all general infrastructure.
When you talk about road repairs, they have to get an updated list, because 2 of the roads that were on that list are getting repaired through CPTV grant money issue. Any other questions? Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for coming out, and we appreciate what you're doing for us in Springfield.
Just to make it clear, your legislators are vital, and I know that the more you communicate with your legislators, the easier it is for me to do my job. And Sauk Village, I don't know if you're blessed or cursed, but there are a lot of legislators who represent parts of your town. I think it's a blessing, because then there's more people I can talk to and urge them to get part of their allotments when they're given allotments to help the community. So, and you do have a good group of legislators who are committed to doing the right thing. So, thank you very much, and good luck with your budget negotiations.
Thank you. All right, I would ask that we table item number 3. Any issues or concerns? I see nothing. I know that we wanted to have it, but I want to get back into the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say to all the Neighborhood Watch Committee members and all the Block Club captains that came out tonight, because we were going to highlight, the mayor put it on the agenda for us to highlight the different committees and what we're doing. A lot of people left work. They got babysitters just to come for our presentation. So I just personally want to thank all of you all for coming tonight. And I'll let you know when the mayor reschedules, but we do have your badges.
All right, again, thank you very much for coming out. I definitely want to hear the presentations from the committees, but I think it's important that we move on with the budget hearing. All right, I'm going to ask at the table, item number 4. Any questions, comments, concerns? All right, move to item number 5, public comment. All questions and comments must be directed to the mayor. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to comment on a topic of their choice. Each speaker will be allowed 1 opportunity to speak. And remember, we are in the committee meeting portion. We will be going back to the public hearing for the budget after we adjourn from this meeting. So if you would please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
You ready?
All right, back.
I am Francine Anderson, and I live at 1606 216th Street. Mr. Mayor, one thing I would like to note in this session is that I saw it very disrespectful to leave the budget meeting to go for you to have someone else from your lobbyist to just talk about some kind of projects that you have that we, the public, got no information about, and that you say is part of this budget. I'll come back to discuss that. The other thing I would like to know is that I see our police department a lot. They stop a lot of cars. And in doing that, I'm sure that our toll fee money has increased. But I also know that I have several neighbors whose homes have been broken into, and then there's no one that's been apprehended. So, I want to know, what are we going to do, or what are you as a board going to do to refocus the efforts of our police department to end some of the break-ins and to stop some of the drug dealing and crime that goes on in Sauk Village? That's question number 2. Question number 3 would be, since this budget is having such a problem and we need to eliminate some money, you know and I know that the best way in order to balance the budget is to eliminate some staff. When are you, as trustees and mayor of this town, will take the step that's necessary to bring this budget to a balance? Those are my 3 questions that I appear to my answer.
All right. Ms. Anderson, it's good seeing you. I haven't seen you in quite some time. So
Sir.
the,
Last budget meeting.
well, yeah. So, but, you know, some of the things that the lobbyists talked about have been discussed during regular board meetings. We try to make sure to keep the public up to date on what's going on, what they're working for us on in Springfield. During the last budget hearing on June 30th, we talked about some of the things that we talked about tonight. It was discussed, 135,000, 175,000, 50,000, 25,000. We have been talking about what they've been working for us in Springfield. So again, we try to make sure that we try to keep this information in front of the residents. And again, once all the paperwork is completed, we'll be coming back and letting everyone know, and probably, you know, we'll have a little party, you know, about getting this money, because it's important that with the, especially the infrastructure, getting the B boxes and the jetting allows us to go off where residents are not paying their bills because the water can't be turned off. Allows the village to go in there, make those repairs needed, and be able to turn that water off and start making people start paying their bills, and we can bring revenue back into the village rather than it just going out because we can't stop the water. When it comes to the 175,000 for infrastructure, we already know we're getting approximately 400,000 from CDBG. In fact, we're fixing Jeffrey from Sauk Trail all the way to 217th Place. We're fixing Peterson Avenue, from 216th, something like the Constance, if I remember right. Don't quote me on that. I think something like that. That's getting fixed with CDBG. We know we're getting another 175,000 for infrastructure, which allows us to go off and we have a priority list where our worst streets are in Sauk Village. It allows us to start working off that priority list and putting that back into additional streets that need to be repaired. So we are working diligently to get those funds from the state so we can put it right back into our streets. $25,000 for fire hydrants. We know that we've got fire hydrants throughout the village need to be replaced. We've been trying for that money now for probably about just about a year. We finally got the okay that we're going to get it. So we're taking out everything we put together that we sent to the state about a year ago. We're putting it all back together. We're verifying all our numbers. We're resubmitting it so we can start getting that money. So we can go out there and start purchasing those fire hydrants and start getting them installed or replaced or repaired, whatever needs to be done. You talk about crime and what we're doing as a board. I can tell you that inside the budget, we're looking at getting the hiring list started for the police department. So it would be additional police officers on the street. We have special details that we're looking at the areas that we have the worst crime in. And so we can start addressing those areas. I wish the chief was here because I'm sure he would love to be able to tell you everything that we're working on right now to try to reduce the crime in our community. You talk about eliminating staff. We work very hard not to eliminate staff because that means there's less services for our residents. That means that if you eliminate police officers, there's no one out there stopping the criminal. When it comes to eliminating more public employees, it means you have less people out there that are going to be tree trimming, fixing street lights, plowing streets, filling potholes, turning your water, on and off, fixing water main breaks. We do pretty good for the small amount of people that we have in our public works department. Same thing, our fire department, we're looking at fire. It's important that we have a strong fire department. Comes to as employees, I always tell people they're the ones out there that are taking the blunt of the people upset because they got the traffic stopped and they make pennies on the dollar. So, in fact, part of this budget is our ESDA, and it's nothing. I'm going to be honest with you. 25 cents per call additional in this budget is what we're giving our ESDA. It's nothing. You think about it, you're not going out there for a call for an additional 25 cents, but they do it all the time. So we've got a great group of employees, and I'm not looking to eliminate. We had made cuts last year, and I feel the cuts that we made last year put us in line for this budget where we don't have to make any additional cuts. And again, as of right now, there's no cuts in this budget. Now, I'm looking for the village board to pass this budget next week, and we'll come back, and if there's amendments that have to be made, the board can make the tough decisions on how we're going to make those decisions, and if it requires cuts, then the board's going to have to make those tough decisions. Because it's not in the best interest of the village to eliminate staff. It's in the best interest that we bring on additional staff in the areas that are needed. In the areas of fighting crime is one of the main areas that we need to bring on additional staff. And I will continue pushing and pounding that drum. So, all right, if there's anyone else, we come to the mic. So, all right.
Well, I know today, my name is Nolan McKay. I reside at 1763.
Could you repeat your name, please?
Nolan McKay.
Okay.
Yeah. Reside at 1763 towards George Street. Talk about our street lights. I know you talk about, get into it and everything, but I want to know if there's any kind of supplement we can do for our street lights. Our street lights went off at least about 2.5 months.
Which one are you?
1763.
223rd.
223rd?
Yeah. Is there anything we can do for any type of street lighting on the block at all?
Is that it? I'm just looking here because I know the public works was out recurrent street lights today, so let's see what we were. Street lights were repaired on Merrill and 219th Place. They are currently working on Jeffrey Peterson, Daly, and 219th Place. So it seems like they're pretty much on the other side. But let me see when they're going to be heading. These are on 223rd. 223rd, so no, corner of 223rd Jeffers. That's when you're looking at, right?
No.
Two,
That's kind of the 23rd one.
you said 17, I know where you're at. You're 17 o'clock.
The farm and the old police station, or
Right.
the village hall.
All right, so I know where you're at. So it seems like right now they're working on the north side, trying to get those streetlights repaired. Let me see when they're going to be heading to the south side. All right.
Appreciate it.
All right, next.
Rose Langston. I just wanted, I keep hearing cost savings. Then during the budget meeting, it almost sounds that if you don't put the budget to vote next week, it almost sounds like you're adding additional meetings, public hearings. So that means more payment to the board members. So that is not cost savings. Makes more sense to pass it, take your time, review the budget, and make your amendments. Thank you.
I do want to bring up real quick on, you bring a good point about additional meetings cost additional money, okay? one thing that we've worked very hard in this last year is trying to schedule meetings on board meeting nights, because the trustees and the board only gets paid for one meeting. So we can have 2 or 3 meetings on that same night, and we only get paid for one. So like tonight, here we are on a committee meeting night. We had the public hearing for the budget, and we're also having a committee meeting night. In the past, you've seen us come in earlier for executive session, have a meeting, and sometimes something else going on. So we know that there's 4 times a month that the village already meets. There's 4 times a month that the board gets paid. So any additional meetings that have to be held, we try to make sure we hold them on those Tuesdays. So you bring up a good point, and it's something we're very, very careful looking at, because we know that every time we have a meeting, it's about $800 for just the board, just to meet. And not including having electricity on, opening up. So it is a cost, but we're able to keep it contained. Again, challenges that our department heads are facing this year. How can they look at something a little different, and how can they move around so they're not paying additional costs? But that's our.
Judy Gastier, I wanted to first thank you for having Mr. Roman here. I was wondering for a long time if that man really existed. And it's good to hear some of the things that he had to say. With that said, I agree with Rose Langston, and I understand your answer to that. But one of the questions that I have is, Mr. Burgess is just one trustee sitting up there. And you're going to have a meeting with Mr. Burgess and Mr. Mohan. Why would you do that when you've got 5 other trustees who are going to be expected to say yes to pass a budget that they don't know a damn thing about? They need to be involved as much as Mr. Burgess or anybody else. Math is not my forte, and I don't understand half of what you said. But I wouldn't vote yes for that budget with some of the questions that were arisen tonight. And I doubt that some of your trustees understand that budget as of right this minute. So if it took somebody, a trustee, 15 days, 14 days, whatever it was, to come up with what he came up with, I bet the other ones haven't even looked at their budgets and have no questions on it. And I think it's craziness to ask for a vote for a budget that has so many holes in it, if they are holes. That's all.
Well, what ends up happening is the meeting that we'll have with trustee Burgess, the finance director, and myself, we'll look at what the trustee has to present, what changes that he's recommending. Again, just looking at, and then of course you have to have your finance director to be able to say where the funds are going to come from, what we're going to cut. Again, what's going to end up happening is the trustees will receive a copy of what he has. They'll be able to start reviewing it. With Mohan, we'll be able to look at the finances, where it's going to come from, and hopefully we will come back to the board and make some recommendations for changes. So at the same time, they'll have whatever the trustee has, and then they'll see what we come back to the table with. They'll also be able to say, what about this, or why not this? And hopefully by that time, the 3 of us will be able to say, well, we didn't do that because of this. Are we going to agree on everything? Probably not. And I'll be honest with you, because I'm not looking to them off. And I will do whatever it takes to make sure we continue having our current manpower where it's at, and bring on additional police officers. So we won't probably agree on everything, but I'm sure he has things there that, again, maybe I did not see. Again, we talk about thinking creatively. The trustees raise some stuff, and there's maybe some ways that we can think creatively and make those changes. I'm all in favor of it. And really, I'll be the first person that, as we come back and amend whatever amendments we make, I'll be the first person to thank Trustee Burgess for bringing this to our attention. I have no problem with that. So, yes.
My name is Michael. I live on 217 Block of Carriage. I do a lot in the community. I'm secretary for Neighborhood Watch, and I right here, across the street from Marathon, when you come onto Jefferson, you take the first right to 19th place. Me and my husband were walking down the street about 3 in the morning. I got work at 2. And we're going back to our house, and you see the boys walking down the street, and they're just shooting the guns off. And we're looking like, well, where is the gunfire coming from? And then you hear it again, pop, pop, pop. So we turn around, and my husband's like, oh man, there go the gunfire right there, let's go. And we start running. So it's like, okay, we call the police, but still they don't show up. So, anybody can get shot. What's going to happen? What's going on?
You know, I will pass this off to the police department and especially the chief to be able to poll, especially when you call the police, there's a record of it. They have to, when I used to be there, they used to have to punch a CR card, I probably still do, to be able to keep track of it. And sometimes when you don't see the police officers, sometimes they're there, you just don't know it. And again, I would have to find out with the chief. They can tell exactly what time the call came in, when the call was dispatched, and what time the police officers are at the scene. So, especially for people that have scanners, they hear it all the time. You know, I think it's what, 23? You hear a police officer, they dispatch a police officer to a certain location, you hear him comes out saying 23, that means he's on site. So, but I'll follow up, it's around 21700 block, you said around 3 o'clock in the morning. What was the date on that again? Did you give me a date?
The 11th.
Friday 11? Okay, I will follow up with the chief on this one. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, hello, my name is Alicia Shankford, and I live on 1682 Carolina Drive. My biggest concern is the water. It's not filtered. When I turn it on, it comes on orange. It makes you ashy. It's just not good at all. I would like to know what you guys can do about that.
That it?
Yes.
All right. Currently, we've got, those received a $4.8 million loan interest loan through the IPA. We are currently working on putting in permanent air strippers. Along with that comes brand new iron removal system. So a lot of times when you see that orange type water, it's because our iron removal system that need to be replaced. We have a older system, and we need new ones. So we'll end up having a brand new iron removal system. Right now, currently they're working on what we call well location number 3. In fact, I was just over doing this last week to get a review on what's going on. They're moving right along with the new systems in place. They've got the iron removal system in place. It's a lot of work. It's amazing. I think it's trustees get a chance. You should take a drive over there and take a look at what's been happening. They're hoping to have that location completely hooked up and ready to go by the end of the month, beginning of the month. Once we have everything in place, we'll be going out to the IEPA. We're having testing done with the water. And the goal is, once we get all approvals from the IEPA, they will swap over. And then wells number 1 and 2, we call wells 1 and 2, which is our second location. All the work will start on that location there. So I met with the IEPA 2 weeks ago. So about 2 weeks ago, I met with the IEPA, 2 individuals from Springfield, and we talked about current investigations that are going on. We talked about where they're at, and they were going over. I didn't have time to go with them, but they were going over to get a tour of the location also. So there's a lot going on, and we should see a lot of changes once all those systems in place. Thank you.
She would have seen that the water department was coming back.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Good hearing. Good hearing.
She was a student government day person, so I was saying if it was open, if the water department was open then and not under construction, she would have seen all the things the mayor was talking about, but we couldn't go tour it.
Good evening, my name is Burl Wilkerson. I'm at Jeffrey Avenue 225. I've heard a lot of talk about, maybe not a lot of talk, but I've heard talk of new equipment for police departments, as well as possible hiring of new officers. I'm just concerned about, or wondering, what is the timeline on this? Does it have to, is it based upon the money money that you're anticipating on getting these grants that Mr. Rowan was talking about, or what? The other concern, or I have, is concerning the garbage fee on the water bill. And I'm paying that, but I'm also having to buy stickers for them to pick up the shavings. I'd like to know what is the village take on that fees that we have to pay for those lawn stickers.
The police, let's talk about the officers first. Once the village board approves it, we can go ahead and start giving the okay to the police and fire commission, so you start working on the list. However, we need approval by the village board to be able to move forward on that one. Same thing with the police cars. It will take the village board to approve the budget, where I can move forward on giving the okay to get the lease for the squad cars. Squad cars take a little bit more time because they are an order, so they will not order them until the village board approves the budget. The garbage pickup, part of your garbage bill consists of your garbage. You can put as many cans and as many bags out you want of garbage. You're allowed up to one large item a week. But you're correct when it comes to your lawn clippings and that kind of stuff. You have to have a sticker for that, and that was part of one of the agreements that we made so we keep the garbage bill down. I know that there is times of the year that as a village, large branches and trees and things like that, if the village will go through and leave them out there on the curb, we'll go through and pick those up so you're not paying to have those removed. Sometimes people will take their branches and stuff and leave them in a certain location in their yard, so when the village picks them up, that's one way they get out of buying the stickers. So, all right.
My name is Jan Clark. I live on Delandis Drive. I also have a problem with our lighting on the south side of the one on Apache, on the corner, Navajo and Delandis, and the one in the middle of the block on Delandis flashes on for a few minutes and then off. My main question is just a clarification on something you said earlier. You were questioned about letting people know about improvements that you're making, and you said that you were informing the public in July or June on some of these parks. Is that correct?
June 30th meeting.
Okay, but Mr. Roman, when he was here, said that he received a letter from me, 3 letters from you in April. Now, did you do that on your own, or did the board have any knowledge of that? I'm just wondering.
Is that what you have?
Pardon?
Is that what you have?
That was my question to you. I was wondering if you were going to answer.
Hey, do you have any other questions?
No.
Okay. All right, I'll make sure that Kevin knows about the lights. The one in the middle of Delandis with links on and off like that sounds like it's a bad bulb. So I will make sure he knows about this also. The letters to the lobbyists, it's things that I send out to the lobbyists of what's going on. I get lobby information through Illinois, the IML, or through mayors and managers. So we send that out. When it comes to the other projects and stuff that we're looking for money for, I work with our engineering, work with our water department, which is Kevin Waller, Coach all our department heads, looking at what we need funds for, and make sure I get that information off to them also. So a lot of this information, especially on the projects and stuff, I think we gave it to the board. That was quite a few months ago. So probably 7, 8 months ago. Yeah, so about that time frame. So.
You know that you did that in April? Okay, because I heard a lot of I did, and I didn't hear too much of we. I just like to making sure that the board is involved with things prior to you doing things on your own. Thank you.
My name is Mary Wilkerson. I'm at 225th and Jeffrey. Thank you. I'm at 225th and Jeffrey. Two things I'm concerned about. I've been to many of these meetings and I always hear Mr. Mayor say, I wish the chief of police was here so I can ask him that. I'm not sure why he isn't. I wish that he was also. That was his statement. Also, my husband spoke about the garbage and how much we're paying. Now, I think a lot of villages have separate garbage cans that they put a sticker on, and the waste, the disposal people come and pick them up. And they're not charged for bags and stickers. Just that you might purchase it. I don't know if they're purchasing it or renting it, whatever. I would be willing to pay for the extra garbage can so that we're not paying 3 times for our garbage pickup. And also, I think the Neighborhood Watch program is a great program. I'd like to see more of the trustees involved as well as the policemen involved so that we can all work collaboratively and make this a safer neighborhood. There's too much crime and not enough police coverage in this neighborhood. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The department heads attend the second and fourth meeting of the month. So if you attended last week's meeting, the police chief was here for that one. So it's always the second and the fourth Tuesday of the month. Department heads attend. The first and third, these are committee meetings, so there's discussion. The only time the department head would attend the first and the third meeting is if there was something that affected their department or something that they needed. So the garbage pickup, I think that there's nobody there to card. I mean, if you want to talk to us after, we can talk. The garbage company, I think they do have a yard waste can, but we'll have to, the best thing to do is call and find out on that one. So, I'm sorry. Your time's done. So, I mean, if you want to talk afterwards, but
I'm sorry, sir. The young lady was here, you answered her question. She asked you another question, you answered her. Now you just give me the same respect. I have one statement to make. If the chief of police is not going to be here, and we can stand here and ask questions, then how do we ask them questions?
All right.
all right, anyone else? All right. Seeing none, we'll move to miscellaneous business and comments from the trustees. Item 6. Trustee?
Just to comment on one of the comments that was made about the rest of the board looking at the budget. Just for those of you who were here for the budget meeting on the 30th, or have ever participated in any budget meeting that we've ever had since I've been a trustee, when we got the budget that morning, we were able to look through it beforehand. And then at the actual physical budget meeting, which is an open meeting, which was attended by the Board of Trustees and the department heads, we actually take the time to go through it page by page. So every person at this table went through the budget. Every person at this table had the opportunity to look line by line. There were questions that were asked. There was discussion that was held. So to say that none of the rest of the trustees looked at the budget, that's a false statement, number one. Number two, I can't speak for everybody at this table, but I can say that any questions that were brought up were answered at that time, or else we wouldn't have said, okay, the budget is okay to move forward with the posting and the notifications and things like that. So that's not to denounce what Trustee Burgess did. What that means is we all had the opportunity to look at the budget. I'm thankful that Trustee Burgess did that. I said before, what are we going to do about it though? Trustee Burgess has lots of comments, and he has lots of pages of corrections. Great. We heard 2. And those 2 that he said, I personally addressed. So I don't want it to think that nobody else saw this budget. That's did that, we reviewed it. If changes need to be made, let's make them. But to go back and forth for an hour, where literally only 2 things were presented with no result in that to me was not conducive to a solution. That was my concern. That's my problem. And I do hope that I understand the timelines, and I understand that we have to go forward, but if there's some real concerns that haven't been brought to the table before, that haven't been brought to the finance director, so some of them could have been resolved beforehand, if there are still some valid concerns, they do need to be brought to the table with solutions. Because as it was presented to us during the budget meeting, this is it. This is all we have. We can't do it anymore because there is no money. So we have to grab money from somewhere else. I'm extremely curious to see where that's going to come from. Because if we're going to start adding money to other budgets, other line items, and it's going to be involved in cutting service for personnel, I can't speak for anybody else at this table, but I can tell you I will not vote for that. I'll vote for people to lose their jobs. And that's the only way you can say, that's the only way you can cut a mass amount of budget, is to lose personnel. That was my concern. But I don't hesitate, don't think that it's a bad idea to have another meeting. But just because Trustee Burks presented 13 pages that only he has seen, does not mean that other rest of the trustees look at the budget. And I took offense with that.
Trustee Burns? Committee.
I just want to tell those that came out last Wednesday, thank you very much for the town hall. We will have another one August 13th. Hopefully the same place. I will be getting the information out as soon as possible. Again, I'd like to thank everybody that came out for that. And as I said before, we won't have an intergovernmental relations meeting this month at all. We'll have one next month. But I'd still like to reiterate, those people that are filing their amendment for their property tax cannot file until after September 5th. We will be having a meeting in August also for that reason. We're having a workshop. I'm going to have someone from the assessor's office out here to, so I'll let everyone know when to bring their tax bill. Even though you paid it, the amendment is for next year anyway. So, and the reason why it's coming out late is because they're going to reassess everybody's property. They're going county by county. They're doing it, and I think they're doing it township by township, the way I understand it. And right now they're still behind, so that's why we have not got the time frame yet to file an appeal on your property tax. And from what I'm hearing, your property tax was inflated the last time. That's why your tax bill went up, and I think now it's going to go down. That's why you don't want to file an appeal until you find out how much they're going to cut first. But I will keep everyone informed of that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Foster?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few things here. First of all, I'd like to apologize for last week having to cancel the baseball program, but the thunderstorms and rain prevented us from going forward with that. And we have again this weekend will be a baseball camp at the baseball fields behind Lanker. Also coming up this Friday, we have the movie at the community center that will be the Lego movie. The backup movie will be Frozen again. The library has not received their shipment of the Lego movie, but I think I can get it anyway, so we're going to go with that. Next, we have the August 1st will be the next family night for games at the community center. That'll be at 6 o'clock, so look forward to that. I want to let everybody know that the summer basketball program kicked off this last Saturday. We had our games on, 2 games on Saturday and 1 game on Sunday. The younger kids play on Sunday. It was a good time. It were good games. So we're going to come out and see those. Those games will be running every weekend now through the end of August. Also, we have the Thursday from 1 to 3 at the community center. We have the cardiac test coming up. If you haven't, there are flyers out in the lobby out there. If you haven't called in to reserve your spot, you can show up. It's from 1 to 3 o'clock at the community center on Thursday. And that's all I have there, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things. First of all, I just want to say that, again, I want to thank all of my committee members for coming out on tonight and for doing whatever it took to be able to be here for the presentations. And as you heard the mayor say, we're going to reschedule this particular presentation, and we do have your badges prepared to give to you all. I also want to announce that I'm happy to announce that the Neighborhood Watch meets every month on the second Monday of every month at the fire station at 6:30. And also, we have expanded, as I have been announcing, from just our regular Neighborhood Watch agenda to no texting while driving, as well as no bullying campaign pledges. And it's on the website for the School District 168, as well as for Bloom Township and Bloom Trail. And we have several students, as well as several residents at the parade that signed up and signed those pledges. So we're going to be displaying those participants' names in the Village Hall for approximately 30 days. They'll hang out there just in recognition that those people signed those pledges for our campaign, no texting while driving, and also no bullying. I just also want to say that, for clarification, Mayor, I just want to know that if we have committees or organizations that we participate in or that we implement outside of the ones that's sanctioned by the village, that we can make announcements about those organizations here at the Village Hall and put our literature on the back table to be picked up by residents. You want to answer that at the end when we keep going, or can you answer that part now?
Go ahead, keep on.
Okay, because as you know, outside of being sanctioned with the Neighborhood Watch by the village, after the election, I started a committee and an organization in Sauk Village called Sauk Village for Informative Dialogue, which included a panel of residents that lived in the village that were answering questions asked by residents, and it was an open forum that we had right here at the community center. But I was specifically told I could not put any literature on the back table, and I could not announce it here at the Village Hall while we were giving our report of meetings. So I did talk to Pastor Burgess, to Trustee Burgess before last week about that, to let him know that I'm not definitely picking on you, Trustee Burgess. But I just want a clarification that if any committee in the village, or if anybody in the village starts another outside organization or committee of residents, that they'll be able to come here and announce it and put the information on the back table or in the front foyer. That was one thing. And then I wanted to say about the budget hearing. It just appears to me that there's a lack of communication. I do remember when former Mayor Louis Scott was the mayor, during budget time, he was asking for trustees. I never missed a meeting to help with the budget, and nobody would help him with the budget. And I remember him saying, we're getting closer to the deadline, I need to get this budget done, and nobody still would help him. And then he came to a meeting and he said, I want to thank Trustee Hanks for coming and talking to me, and we sat down and we were able to finally cut and make cuts for the budget. And people had all kinds of questions that they wanted to ask former Mayor Towers, and he said, Trustee Hanks and myself sat down and made these cuts because this was the only way the budget could be passed. Now, if that was 2 years ago, I'm just asking you, Mayor Hanks, did you have a problem, or is it past practice that any trustee that feel that they can assist with what the mayor, whoever the mayor is doing with coming up with the budget, can ask you, can they assist you, or something that you just want to do privately on your own with the department heads, or could any of us have asked to jump in? And I feel like if it's your area of expertise, even the more so you want to do that, so that we don't be pushed to this deadline where we'll have to have all of these bills in our report and statements.
Just a couple of things, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'm too, with the rest of the trustees, curious in seeing the 13-page stuff that Trustee Burgess had, and good Lord, if he has something else that can help us out, let's get it, let's look at it, let's do what we got to do. But if it's a betterment of this town, then let's do it. The other thing is I am in favor of the young lady that spoke up, that asked for the police chief to answer her. Mr. Mayor, I'm curious to ask Chief Holovitz to answer her. She spoke to me briefly and her husband, and I think they deserve an answer from the police chief. And the town hall meeting, I thought it was great. There was some dynamite questions brought up, and there's some real concern that there were some things that we can work on and make it. But once again, the residents brought up to our attention, and the trustees can act on it. I thought the town hall meeting was good. Thank you. That's all I have.
I'm going to think about placing material and stuff on the back. And I may have to reach out to the attorneys because, again, I'm not going to answer that question tonight. Okay, I'm going to give some thought. I think we need to be very careful about what we start doing because it could get very close to campaigning. And we've learned over the years where you do one thing, it can be translated into something else and something else. And in the end, they say, well, you let this trustee do this, but I can't do this here. So I think I want next Tuesday when the attorneys are here, I'm going to pass them. And in the meantime, shoot me some information on exactly what you want to put out. If any of the trustees have any additional information that you want to put out on any of your ad hoc committees that are not recognized by the village, that's fine. Give it to me, and I will ask the attorney next Tuesday night when they're here so we can get some time to think about it. When it comes time to the budget, as mayor, I look to the board for support. Again, I take the information that you provide. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing how trustee members. It's going to be something that we need to do and take a look at it. And no matter whenever we sit down, again, there's steps that have to be taken. Okay, we'll sit down with the finance director first. We'll look at the finances. We'll look at some of the things that he is suggesting. Then I sit down with the department heads and say the trustees suggesting you do this to your department, and they may have to make additional cuts. I'll go back to the department heads and say where are you going to make the cuts. So, and you mentioned $100,000 for overtime. I mean, if there's no funds available for $100,000, we'll be calling the chief then and saying the trustee feels you need $100,000 more, what are you going to cut? And again, the whole entire budget process was working. Not everyone wants to say it's my budget. It's a budget that I present to the board from the mayor's office. But this budget was working with the department heads. Department heads provided what they wanted first. Then we had to look at what was coming in. Cuts were made. Went back to the department heads, and they came back and said, you know what, you cut this, but I need it back in, but I don't need this. So what the board is looking at is something that the department heads had already approved. That's why the last budget hearing went so easy. If you've sat in budget hearings before, they went on for over 8 hours. Because the department head would come back in and say, you know, I saw what you gave me, but I need this, this, and this, and this. And the board was sitting at a budget hearing trying to figure out where to get the funds at. You didn't hear that on June 30th. On June the 30th, even when the trustee asked if the department head was okay with it, he said yes. Because there was an open relationship and a dialogue between the mayor's office and the department heads. So that when I came back to the board and presented it, it was something that the department head said they could live with. And it was going to be challenging and it was going to be tough. So tonight's conversation, yes, we spent over an hour talking about budgets, but you know, I think it's good. Everyone, I hear people all the time say the trustees don't say anything. Well, the trustees say a lot tonight. I think dialogue is good. That's why you have a committee meeting. That's why you have that brainstorming. That's why you have that dialogue between trustees. Because what it does is it might shake something in our noggin up here. Think, oh yeah. And maybe think of something else that we can do a little different. So I've got no problem spending a little extra time here tonight talking about the budget. When it comes to the chief, I can find out exactly what the chief's not answering. I think we probably should talk. But again, the department heads are here on the 2nd and the 4th Tuesday. I try to make sure that they're here a little bit earlier before the meeting, so residents can talk to them. The residents can hear their reports during a regular board meeting. And it also gives them, in case if there's not a major call, like last week, the fire chief had to leave because we had a major accident over at Baker's Tanks. But usually the department heads are here so the residents can talk to them after the meeting also. So, again, I'll get me after the meeting, find out what the chief is not answering, and then let me see if I can push a little bit more, okay? And maybe I misunderstood exactly what you were looking for, so I do apologize if there was a misunderstanding there. A couple things I just want to make sure that I bring to your attention. Congresswoman Robin Kelly, she's hiring interns, so if you know anyone's in Washington or Illinois that's looking for an internship, she's looking for interns, fall internships. Deadline is July 25th. And spring internships, deadline is December 18th. Summer internships are April the 11th. Illinois is looking for a district internship information. Application deadlines are fall or August 16th. Spring is November 25th. Summer is April the 11th. If you want additional information on the congressional internships, please call her office. And then I received this information for release. The Hispanic Heritage Organization is hosting their 24th annual Hispanic Heritage Essay Contest. Let's see here. This year's topic is on how can Latinos be more involved in the betterment of their community. Essays may be written in English or Spanish. The contest is open to all students in the state of Illinois from the grades of 4 through 12, as well as college and adult education students. There'll be 14 winners that will be selected. So they asked if I would read this tonight, so I want to make sure that I got that out for you. So with that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn the committee meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor, say aye. Motion adjourned. I would ask that we go back into